You're carrying 4 codes that shape your reality, though you may have never noticed. They're not hidden in a distant temple, in a sacred book, or an ancient secret guarded by a few. They're here right now, silently active in the way you observe the world, time, situations, and yourself. And the most surprising part, most people live their whole lives without ever realizing the power contained in one simple act: observation. The way you observe is a vibrational technology. Your attention, your presence, your emotion, all of it directly impacts the quantum field around you. You're not just seeing what's in front of your eyes. You're encoding, you're interpreting. You carry conscious or unconscious intentions, and through them, you interfere with the paths that reality can take. Observing at this level is more than perceiving the external. It's influencing, bending, activating, or stalling the invisible possibilities the universe offers. Today, you're going to discover how 4 hidden codes within your observation have the power to distort your perception of time, release trapped energy, and reprogram the reality you live in. By the end of this video, you'll know how to activate them consciously. And more than that, you'll realize it was never reality that needed to change. It was only the way you chose to observe it. Observation is more than seeing. It's encoding reality. Have you ever considered that the simple act of observing might be the portal between the invisible and the visible? We're not talking about seeing in the usual surface-level sense, like glancing at something and moving on. We're talking about a gaze that carries presence, intention, and vibration. A gaze that interacts with what is observed, and through that subtle interaction, alters the very structure of reality. The universe, contrary to what we've been taught, isn't something fixed, solid, and predetermined apart from the observer. Modern physics, especially quantum mechanics, has already shown that the act of observing a phenomenon directly affects its behavior. It's as if the universe exists in a state of possibilities until someone looks. And once it is observed, it chooses a form, a result, a path. What's more fascinating is that this choice isn't random. It's influenced by who is observing, and especially how they are observing. Your observation, when loaded with emotion, belief, and intention, becomes a code that the energetic field responds to. You're not just seeing something, you're sending out a vibrational signal about what you're seeing. And the field, this vast ocean of intelligent energy, responds. This means that instead of merely perceiving reality, you're constantly encoding and shaping it, like an invisible sculptor using your eyes, heart, and mind as tools. Imagine, for example, 2 people observing the exact same situation, a work setback. The first sees it with frustration, fear, and judgment. The second sees it with presence, neutrality, and trust. The external situation is the same, but the reality that unfolds for each person is completely different. One feels heaviness, lack of solutions, and tension. The other sees possibilities, clarity, and even hidden opportunities. What changed? The way they observed. Observing with awareness is like choosing which reality you want to participate in. When you look at something with fear, you amplify the frequency of fear and invite more of it. When you observe with gratitude, you expand that vibration and attract experiences in resonance with it. This is not just spirituality. It's vibrational science. You don't attract what you want intellectually. You attract what you're vibrating while you observe. Moreover, observing with intention is like sending a subtle command to the universe, a silent yet powerful one. It's as if you're saying, "This is what I acknowledge. This is what I validate with my gaze. This is what I choose to experience." This level of presence creates coherence in your energetic field, and coherence generates manifestation. That's why observing is not passive. It's an energetic action that configures your world in real time. How many times have you transformed something just by changing how you looked at it? How often, after a good night's sleep, a heartfelt conversation, or a quiet moment, have you returned to the same situation with a new perspective? And suddenly it seemed lighter, more solvable? The situation didn't change on its own. You changed your vibration as you observed it, and reality responded. This is the power of observation. It's a portal between your internal state and external reality. And when done with intention and presence, it stops being a reflection of reality and becomes the tool that creates it. If everything responds to how you observe, then the real question is no longer, what is happening to me? But how am I observing what's happening to me? That question changes everything, because from that point, you're no longer at the mercy of circumstances. You step into the role of conscious co-creator of your experience. Code 1, timeless observation. Time is perhaps one of the most persistent illusions in the human experience. We live surrounded by clocks, schedules, deadlines, and goals. From an early age, we're taught to race against time, fear it, feel like it's slipping away, never enough. But what if that perception was merely a reflection of how we observe time, and not of time itself? The truth is, time as we perceive it is malleable. It stretches or contracts not just based on external factors, but mostly according to our state of presence. When you are fully present in something, without getting lost in thoughts about the past or projections of the future, time seems to slow down. There is more space between the seconds. Sensations deepen. The moment feels expanded. That is the nature of timeless observation. Observing with complete presence is a revolutionary act. It's like pausing linear logic and entering an inner time where you access more clarity, more intuition, and more creative power. In this state, you're no longer dragged by time. You begin to bend it, mold it, stretch or condense it based on your vibration. Outer time and inner time start to align. How many times have you been so immersed in something that you lost track of time? A deep silence, a genuine conversation, an intense spiritual experience. In those moments, you enter a space where time feels suspended. That's not escaping reality. It's returning to a deeper reality that can only be accessed when you're fully present. Timeless observation is just that. The art of becoming so fully present that chronological time no longer sets the rules. And why does that matter? Because it's in that state that you reconnect with your expanded consciousness. That's where you hear your intuition more clearly, where creative solutions emerge, where peace arises, not as a result of circumstances, but as your natural state. And it's also where the quantum field becomes more responsive to your vibration, because you're no longer filled with noise, distractions, or inner distortion. When you observe reality with hurry, anxiety, or impatience, you're energetically compressing time. You're creating resistance. You're obstructing the natural flow of events. But when you observe with surrender, silent presence, and conscious breathing, you begin to realize that time is also a reflection of your state of consciousness, and that in truth, it obeys you more than you think. Time only controls you when you lose presence. That sentence may sound simple, but it carries a profound code, because time in its essence is not the enemy. It's a mirror. It distorts, reorganizes, and bends according to the level of consciousness you access while moving through it. And there's a simple, yet powerful practice that can open this portal. Stop, breathe, and just observe. Not in haste, not seeking an instant answer, but deeply. Feel your body, listen to the sounds, enter silence. It's at that point that your observation starts to transcend chronological time and access a dimension where everything is available, even that which once seemed impossible. As you integrate this way of observing into your daily life, you begin to free yourself from the tyranny of time. You realize you don't have to run so much, push so hard, or control everything. Because when you're in presence, time is no longer an obstacle. It becomes an ally. And with that, you begin to live in a lighter, clearer, and more connected way, anchored in the eternal now, the only place where reality truly transforms. Code 2, neutral observation. Have you noticed how much energy is drained by silent judgments? By automatic thoughts, inner criticism, emotional interpretations about everything happening around you? We've been conditioned to label, classify, approve, or reject almost everything we see. And this habit, nearly invisible, is quietly draining vital energy that could instead be available for creation, healing, and expansion. Neutral observation is a portal to releasing that trapped energy, because judgment, no matter how subtle, is a form of resistance. It's as if, by interpreting something as wrong, bad, undesirable, or threatening, you create an internal barrier that blocks the natural flow of energy. Judgment activates the ego, separation, fear. Neutrality, on the other hand, creates space for consciousness, integration, and movement. Observing without judgment is not the same as being indifferent. Quite the opposite. True neutrality arises from a state of such deep presence that you no longer need to label the experience in order to validate it. You simply perceive it with clarity and openness, allowing it to reveal what needs to be seen without interfering with your projections or conditioning. This way of observing has an immediate effect on your energetic field. When you release judgment, you also release tension, control, and the need to react. In that moment, the energy that was stuck in resistance begins to flow again. You feel lighter, more spacious within, more alive. It's as if parts of you that were frozen, blocked by unexpressed emotions or rigid interpretations, begin to thaw. Energy starts moving again. And this doesn't just apply to how you observe the world. It applies especially to how you observe yourself. How often do you look at yourself with harshness? How often do you blame yourself, compare, shrink, or overdemand? Each of these judgmental self-observations traps energy in your field. And as long as that energy is being used to sustain internal narratives, it's not available to create, to heal, to manifest. Observing yourself with neutrality is one of the most powerful acts of freedom. It means looking at your flaws, emotions, and stories with compassion and without labels. It's not about ignoring what needs to be transformed. It's about creating the vibrational space necessary for that transformation to happen without resistance. Imagine for a moment that you could look at a pain, a difficulty, an old fear, without fighting it, without wishing it away, without blaming yourself for feeling it, just observing, breathing, welcoming it. That's the essence of neutral observation. And in that simple act, something profound begins to dissolve. The pain loses power, the fear becomes less solid, the inner rigidity begins to soften, because now there is space, there is awareness, there is presence without judgment. The energy you want to feel is hidden behind the judgment you're willing to release. That sentence holds a liberation code, because the energy never left. It merely retreated behind layers of defense, fear, control, and criticism. When you observe with neutrality, you signal to your field that you're ready to let that energy return to life, to flow freely once again. Neutrality is a high state of consciousness, not because it ignores reality, but because it sees it clearly, without distorted filters. And when you access that state, even for a few seconds, you realize that much of the pain you carry doesn't come from what happened, but from the way you judge what happened. Practicing neutral observation is simple, but it requires presence. It asks you to pause before reacting, to breathe before interpreting, to see before concluding. And by doing so, you begin to access a level of energy and clarity that was blocked by the constant need to control what you see. Observing without judgment is, in truth, an invitation to freedom. It's the recognition that life is more than the labels you were taught to give it, and that by letting those labels fall away, you reconnect with the vibrant essence that was always there, just waiting for a clear gaze to start flowing again. Code 3, creative observation. There is a subtle, powerful secret in how you look at life. Reality is not a fixed thing waiting to be observed. It's a field in constant transformation, responding to the quality of your attention. Observing at this level is much more than perceiving what already exists. It's participating in the creation of what's still forming. Creative observation arises from the union of three forces: vision, emotion, and intention. When you observe something as if it were already happening, as if it were already real, Your vibrational field reorganizes to align with that frequency. This is not empty imagination, it's energetic language. The universe doesn't understand words. It responds to vibrational coherence between what you feel, believe, and project as you observe. Many people want to transform their reality, but continue to observe life from a place of lack. They want love, but observe loneliness. They want abundance, but observe scarcity. They want change, but focus on limitation. And what happens? The dominant vibration remains, because it's not desire that creates. It's the quality of your vibrational observation. It's what you continue to reinforce as real with your awareness. Creative observation is a vibrational leap of faith. It's looking at the now through the eyes of the future. It's feeling what you desire as if it were already here. Not as illusion, but as an inner truth stronger than temporary facts. This coherence between vision and emotion generates a wave of frequency the quantum field recognizes and responds to. Reality begins to rearrange, sometimes subtly, sometimes radically. You don't create the new by wanting. You create by observing as if it were already real. That sentence expresses a profound principle. Consciousness doesn't wait for reality to change in order to shift perception. It changes perception to allow reality to shift. This is how you become a co-creator, not just a passive observer of life. The practice of creative observation begins with an inner repositioning. You stop observing from what's missing and start observing from what if it were already here? And that what if isn't a mental question, it's an emotional experience. You begin to feel what you would see, how you would breathe, what you would say, how you would act. You align with that version of yourself and begin to vibrate like them. At that moment, something changes. You step through the mirror. Your observation no longer confirms the present. It starts to shape the future. This way of observing also breaks the pattern of waiting for change to come from outside. On the contrary, you become the change you want to see, and reality, sensitive to your vibrational field, begins to mirror this new frequency, sometimes through coincidences, other times through clear intuitions, new ideas, unexpected connections. But the turning point always starts inside, in your observation. It's important to understand that the quantum field is an ocean of possibilities, and the way you access it is not through force, but through vibration. You don't need to manipulate, control, or force reality to be what you want. You simply need to feel as if it already were, and sustain that gaze with love, surrender, and presence. Creative observation is, at its core, a reminder that you're not separate from the reality you live in. You are a living extension of it, and every time you choose to see through the eyes of your heart, through the vision of your higher self, you emit a frequency capable of rewriting the scripts of your existence. So upon waking, before acting, before planning, before worrying, pause, breathe, and observe as if everything your heart desires were already happening now. See with intention, feel with truth, and allow that vibration to become your new starting point, because it is exactly there, in that space, that the invisible begins to become real. Code 4, observation aligned with purpose. There are moments when everything seems to flow, decisions become clear, paths open, synchronicities appear, the right people cross your path, and even challenges seem to carry a hidden meaning. That feeling isn't random. It's the reflection of something much deeper. Your observation is aligned with your purpose. When you observe life with purpose, you're not just seeing events through the eyes of your personality. You're perceiving them through the eyes of your soul. It's as if your perception becomes a beam of light that illuminates what truly matters, beyond distractions, beyond the ego's noise, beyond fleeting stories. And in that state, the universe cooperates. Observing with purpose is different from observing with expectation. Expectation comes from control. Purpose comes from your center. Expectation wants things to happen in a specific way. Purpose understands the greater movement at play, even when it's not yet fully understood. That's why when your observation is guided by purpose, you access the flow. Life begins to respond more fluidly because you're vibrating in coherence with your essence. Often we get stuck in superficial observations. We only see problems, obstacles, flaws, or what's missing, not because we're negative, but because we're disconnected from our deeper why. When we forget the purpose that animates our existence, we start seeing reality in a fragmented, heavy, and disconnected way, like trying to piece together a puzzle without knowing what picture you're building. But when you remember your purpose, not as a rigid concept, but as an internal vibration, a calling, a subtle direction, something shifts. You begin to see each experience as part of the path, even the most challenging ones. Difficulties stop being enemies and become teachers. Pauses stop feeling like frustrations and become preparation. Encounters stop feeling random and become bridges. Reality bends to the observer who knows why they're seeing what they see. This is one of the most powerful keys of higher consciousness. Because when you observe a situation, a person, or a challenge through the lens of your purpose, you activate subtler senses. You're no longer just trying to survive the experience. You're extracting wisdom, alignment, and growth. You're turning the ordinary into something sacred. This way of observing also dissolves resistance. Because when you understand that something is part of your path of expansion, you no longer fight it. You welcome it, learn from it, move through it. And this surrender isn't passivity, it's vibrational strength. It's trust that there's a higher intelligence guiding the process and that your mission is unfolding even between the lines of life. Observing with purpose also means observing yourself with more presence and compassion. It means recognizing when you're disconnecting, when you're acting on autopilot, when you're trying to please instead of aligning. It's a constant invitation to reconnection, because purpose is not a destination, it's a frequency, a state of being you access every time you choose to see life with meaning. And when this way of observing becomes natural, synchronicity stops being a surprise and becomes a sign. You begin to live at a different rhythm, less effort, more direction, less doubt, more clarity, less control, more trust. The flow appears, not by magic, but through alignment. Because now your energy, your intention, and your observation are vibrating in tune with what you came here to be. And the universe responds with ease to the one who knows why they are seeing what they see. How to activate all 4 codes in your daily life. Now that you've understood the 4 hidden observation codes, timeless, neutral, creative, and aligned with purpose, a vital question arises. How do you turn this knowledge into living practice, into an active presence that truly transforms your way of being in the world? The answer lies in simplicity. True transformation doesn't require complex rituals or long preparations. It requires intention, presence, and consistency. When you choose to activate these codes consciously, even in small moments throughout your day, something begins to shift. It's not as immediate as flipping a switch, but it's real, perceptible, and grows stronger with practice. The key is to weave awareness into the natural flow of your daily life, like planting invisible seeds that, over time, become the vibrational roots of a new reality. Everything begins in silence, a minute of pause where you breathe and feel the now without trying to change it. This is where you activate the first code, timeless observation. By allowing this inner space, you begin to slow down your perception of time and open yourself to presence. It doesn't matter where you are, at the start of your day, in the middle of an activity, or before going to sleep. This simple choice to be fully present changes your frequency. Outer time begins to adapt to your inner rhythm. With that presence activated, the second code arises naturally. Neutral observation. You begin to notice thoughts, emotions, and events without the urge to judge them immediately. Instead of labeling a feeling as negative or a situation as bad, you observe. You breathe, you allow, and in that seemingly passive act, you're releasing energy that was once trapped in resistance. Neutrality, in truth, is a form of deep self-care. It teaches you to receive life as it is, without needing to react to everything. From this state of presence and neutrality, you're ready to access the third code, creative observation. This is where conscious imagination comes in, the felt anticipation of what you wish to live. It's not about pretending something has already happened, but feeling it as if it were happening now, within you. You don't wait for circumstances to change to feel gratitude, love, or fulfillment. You choose to vibrate those feelings now, and that vibration begins to influence the field around you. This type of observation doesn't just affirm a possibility, it commands a frequency. And finally, with everything in motion, you activate the fourth code, observation aligned with purpose. Throughout the day, you begin to silently ask yourself, why am I experiencing this right now? What hidden purpose might this moment hold? This question isn't mental, it's vibrational. It reconnects you with something greater than yourself. Something that doesn't require control, but trust. And the more you observe life from this place, the more the universe responds with flow, clarity, and meaning. Integrating these four codes into your daily life doesn't require extra time. It requires conscious presence. You can practice in silence, while walking, in traffic, during a break at work, in a moment of intense emotion, or upon waking. What changes is not the world around you, but the way you relate to it. And when that shifts, everything shifts. To observe is to choose, and to choose is to command reality. When you understand that, you realize you are no longer a piece reacting to life's chessboard. You are the conscious player, able to move with intention, with presence, and with purpose. These codes are like silent instruments in your hands, and now you know how to tune them, play them, and let them resonate at the frequency of the reality you choose to live. We've come to the end of this journey, but perhaps the most important part is just beginning. Your choice to observe the world with new eyes. Today, you discovered that time, energy, and reality are not fixed structures. They are living, moldable expressions that respond to the quality of your presence. The four codes we explored are not abstract ideas. They are vibrational keys that were dormant within you, waiting for awareness to awaken them. For the next 24 hours, challenge yourself to apply these codes in simple situations. Observe time with presence, observe without judgment, observe as if the new were already real, and observe with purpose. Watch how reality begins to respond to you differently. You don't need to change the entire world, just the way you observe it, because that's where the real magic happens. You carry the codes. Now you simply need to remember how to use them.